All right, we begin with fresh new CBS News polling showing Americans are not confident in the economy. Take a look at this. 61% of people describe the current state of the U.S. economy as uncertain, and more than half describe it as struggling. You got 37% saying it's unfair. All of this comes as the status of President Trump's tariff policies remain in limbo. Just last night, the administration asked the Supreme Court to review a federal appeals court decision which found many of the levies to be illegal. And today, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is set to testify before Congress. You're looking at new CBS News polling, which shows a majority of Americans disapprove of his job performance. And yesterday, more than 1,000 current and former HHS employees penned an open letter calling for Kennedy to resign or be fired. CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand joins us from the White House with more on all of this. Natalie, good morning. What can we expect from today's hearing with RFK Jr.?
Good morning, Errol. Well, this hearing is expected to be heated as Secretary Kennedy faces tough questions and growing concern about the changes he has made to the CDC and public health agencies in America. As you noted, this new letter by over 1,000 current and former Health and Human Services staffers say that they warn the president, Congress, and the public that Secretary Kennedy's actions are, quote, compromising the health of the nation, and they're calling for his resignation. Among their chief concerns, the shakeup at the CDC, which includes the firing of Director Susan Monteraz and then the resignation of several key officials. And they also raise concern about what they call political ideologues appointed to a key vaccine advisory committee, which makes recommendations to the CDC and FDA. Now, HHS responding to this letter in a statement says, in part, Secretary Kennedy has been clear the CDC has been broken for a long time. Restoring it as the world's most trusted guardian of public health will take sustained reform and more personnel changes. So he's going to be asked about all of that. Now, the hearing is before the Senate Finance Committee, which does have jurisdiction over HHS. But one key member to watch on that committee is Senator Bill Cassidy, a Republican from Louisiana, who also is the chair of the Senate Health Committee. He sits on both committees. He's a doctor himself, and he has said that the CDC shakeup needs oversight, Errol.
And we'll have more on all of that throughout the show. I want to turn to the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, because President Trump is set to speak with Volodymyr Zelensky today. And Mr. Trump spoke to CBS News about the war. What did he have to say to us?
Yeah, he had a conversation with CBS's Bob Costa, and he said that he remains committed to pursuing a peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia, despite the growing uncertainty over whether Putin and Zelensky will, in fact, meet in person to hold direct talks. He told Costa that they may not be ready yet, but that he thinks something will happen. And he said that his approach to diplomacy like this is to bring the key leaders in the room and to try to work out an agreement in real time. Now, during that bilateral meeting with the Polish president yesterday, he also told reporters when asked about Russia that if he's not happy with what Putin ultimately does, you'll see, quote, things happen, though, of course, Errol, he didn't give details.
All right, so the president's still holding out hope. Natalie Brand with the latest. Natalie, thank you. CBS News Elections and Surveys Executive Director Anthony Salvanto is here with us in studio. Great to see you, Anthony. You've got fresh new polling for us. Let's start with RFK Jr. How do his vaccine policies shape America's views of him?
So start with that context. Here is what Americans think about the availability of vaccines. And by and large, they think, in general, they should be more available to people who want them. That's not the vaccination rate. It's not necessarily if they want them themselves, but that's what public policy, in their view, ought to be. The other thing I'll point out is you see a majority of Democrats, independents, and Republicans, a little less so for Republicans, but still a majority saying, at least for the MMR vaccine, that the government ought to encourage parents to vaccinate children. Now, why do I give you all that context? Because it shapes views of what they see happening now with RFK Jr. First, they say that, by and large, they believe he's making vaccines less available, more so than more available, right? And they want them more available. And then that, in turn, goes to their approval of him. For folks who think he's making vaccines less available, overwhelming disapproval.
Wow. And this is on the same day Florida is changing its child vaccine policy. We'll have more on that later in the show. I know that you asked Americans about their views on the economy as well. A lot of people expressing pain and frustration, but what are they saying? What's reflected in this polling?
Indeed. Well, you said at the top, you talked about the uncertainty.
Yeah.
And what's driving a lot of that is the feeling that, one, prices have still been going up in their experience, but also people tell us their expectations, that all-important outlook for things, they still think prices are going to continue going up. And that's been a big reason why so many people continue, as they have for years, to rate the economy negatively.
And that's just a sampling. Folks can see all of what you found at cbsnews.com. Anthony, thanks so much.
Thank you.